Welcome to Travel Secrets with me, Tanya Rose, the podcast sharing wisdom for fellow travellers. Each week, I ask my guests to reveal their 6 travel secrets and the holidays and adventures that surround them. Today, my guest is the wonderful award-winning British actress, Miranda Richardson, famed for so many incredible plays, TV shows and films, from Dance with a Stranger, Damage, Tom and Viv, Enchanted April, and who can forget her amazing portrayal? It still makes me laugh out loud to think of you as Queenie in Blackadder. I loved it so much. Good. It really makes me giggle. And for the younger listeners, they probably know you very much from your stint in Harry Potter and Mrs. Tweedy in Chicken Run. Chicken Run. Yay. Miranda, I can't wait to hear your travel secrets. I know you love wildlife. You traveled all over the world with that. And also that you love the British coast, but we don't know each other well, so I can't wait to hear your travel tales.
Cool.
Welcome.
Very nice to be here. Thank you.
Before we get into your travel secrets, perhaps you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and how travel has impacted the person you've become.
I think it's a work in progress. And I think of travel, I suppose, in the mind as much as physical traveling. But when you go to a new location, let's say, it expands your mind. And you don't always know how that's affecting you till later on. It's sort of at a cellular level, something happens, I think. And it may become evident later on in how you approach things, your attitude to life, maybe your attitude to work even, you know. It's putting yourself in other people's shoes. And I think travel can affect that very much. Am I making sense?
You are absolutely making sense to me, and I totally agree with everything you're saying.
Okay, good.
Do you love traveling?
I love traveling. I love arriving. I love coming home. I think I appreciate home when I've traveled, whether that's for work or pleasure. And then you can repent at leisure, you know, whatever has happened. And home is about the debrief, really, and assessing whether where you've just been is somewhere you might want to go back to, whether it's a one-off thing. That's all quite interesting as you go through life. I don't need to travel for the sake of traveling. I don't need to put another notch on the bedpost kind of thing. Yeah. Can you put a notch on a bucket list?
No. Notch on your belt. Tick on your bucket list.
Tick on your bucket list. Notch on your bedpost.
Yeah, bedpost.
Yeah.
I actually travel all the time, but I love coming home.
Yeah.
There is nothing nicer than my own bed.
And a dog's welcome, I believe.
Absolutely. My little dog who sits there waiting every time I go away until I come back.
I know. It's very hard going away.
Yeah, it is.
From them.
Let's go into your travel secrets. What is the number one destination that you think everyone should go to once in their lifetime?
Thought about this a lot. I may not have gone there yet, but the answer I'm going to give you in this instance is Istanbul. I have been there, but I've only been there one time, which sounds kind of counter to what I'm saying. You know, you'd think I'd be going every week. I just think it's a place that makes me feel better about being human. I find it full of humanity. I find the mix of people very exciting and humbling, and it feels like the romance of travel from another time. Even though it's a modern and bustling great place, it feels that the spirit of travel is there. And the Bosphorus, I have to say, I stayed in a hotel whose name I can't remember, with a window that overlooked the Bosphorus. And to have a sense of the centuries of this well-used water. I mean, we don't use the Thames in any way as well as that. I mean, it's so exciting. It's like, spice routes, and it makes you think of just history and civilization, and the fact that there are the two halves of the city, and everything just works.
It's so interesting that you say that. It's my favourite city in the world.
Oh my God!
It is absolutely my favourite city. The whole east meets west.
Yes.
It's so vibrant. The mosques are beautiful. The
Yes.
souk is beautiful. The food is amazing.
Yes.
There is the most wonderful new hotel, which I'm going to send you to. The Peninsula has just opened on the Bosphorus.
Oh my God.
In the Galaka part, which is the most amazing old terminal. And it is the most beautiful new hotel. It literally opened a year ago.
Wow.
You will absolutely love it. You must go
God,
there.
I must go.
Yeah.
I must.
No, you must. It's really fabulous.
Been
And
far
that
too
whole
long.
Bosphorus, as you say, is just outstanding. Yeah, so exciting. Really is. How lovely that you think that too. My son's godfather was Albert Finney, and he did obviously the original Murder on the Orient Express.
Right.
And he said that he thought it was the most incredible place that he'd ever been. And that was however long ago. So yeah, it's an amazing city, amazing place to go.
We can talk about cruises later.
I've never been on a cruise.
I've been on a cruise.
Have you? Well, I'm going to ask you your next travel secret, which is what's your most unexpected travel experience you've ever been on? Well, it might be the answer.
It might be the cruise. I was actually commissioned to do a writing piece, and they said it's to go on a cruise, and I thought, oh, God, trapped on a ship with hundreds of people who you probably will want to kill. And I said, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not very good at hot and, not being able to get out anywhere. And they said, oh, you can go wherever you like. And I went, well, so I can do cold. Yeah, if you like. So I went, what, Alaska? And they went, yeah. Oh. So this was my unexpected. You start in Vancouver, and you're only, I think, 5 days at sea. And every day you see something interesting. And then you go up the inside passage. And there are stop-offs quite often up there. So it's the most, as far as I'm concerned, user-friendly cruise, because there's something interesting all the time, and it's not sort of, I don't know, lying around on a hot deck, which, is some people's idea of absolute bliss. And for me, it's not.
No.
And then you get off and do exciting things if you want to. Some people never get off the ship. Some people die on the ship. Some people just gamble their lives away. And I was doing float plane to the Glacier Lake. Let's have a go at dog sledding. Wow. Then eventually I went to Mount Denali, and stayed in a lodge there and went trail riding and, did that. And that felt like that was proper. And, the last great frontier kind of idea, in a way, came home to me. It was exciting. All that tastes of adventure's a big part of travel.
Absolutely. And so few people do actually have adventures. They'll just go and flop, lie on the beach.
I'm craving one at the moment, actually.
Yeah. But it's nice to do both. Yes. It really is.
Yes.
Who was the cruise thing that you went with?
I can't remember.
And who did you write for?
I wrote for that really oddly titled thing, How to Spend It.
Oh, yes.
It's kind of like, ooh, how do I feel about that? But it was good, and I was rather pleased with, if I say so myself, I was quite pleased with the end result.
I must find that article. I love How to Spend It, actually. I read it every Saturday, and my husband says, the one magazine you do not need to know to do is How to Spend It. You need to know how to save it.
Save it, I know. Well, I think the first time I came across that, if I can just big up somebody else for a minute, was I'm friends with wonderful sculptor called Emily Young, and she was featured at one time, so I sort of had to buy the magazine to read the article about Emily, and I thought, oh, well, this is okay, because they're writing about my friend in such a lovely way, and all that kind of thing.
What is the most overrated or underrated travel experience you've ever had?
Oddly, I went to a part of Italy, I won't say, and it's got a reputation for being lesser discovered, shall we say. And I'm tempted to say I can see why, but, I probably haven't given it the time it deserves. I was there for a few days and I wasn't that impressed by the food. I wasn't that impressed by the landscape.
God, I'm dying to know what that is in Italy because I love Italy.
Well, I love Italy. I love Italy. I'm trying to think if there's somewhere else I could be harsher about, and that.
No, but what's lovely is that you love Italy, but there is a part of Italy that you were underwhelmed by.
I don't need to go there, and it's. I won't say it's bigged up as that, but it has this reputation about still a secret and all that. I think maybe if I had spent some time on the coast there, I would have been more excited because I expect those beautiful coves and all sorts of things, but I didn't actually
get to
do
see
any of that. So, and that's odd for me because I love water, so I didn't actually spend any time on it, which I probably should have.
Where do you go in Italy that you love?
Almost anywhere else really. I like Naples very much, and anywhere in Tuscany really. I've not been sort of up in hills or anything like that. I'd like to do more of that. I mean, I think you either go for a sort of hit of culture or you go to be religiously decadent.
And you filmed in Italy, haven't you?
Yes. Portofino. That's where we were for Enchanted April. And the hilarious thing is that we left the UK in freak beautiful weather, which is, around Easter time.
Surprising.
Stunning sunshine. And we were going, well, we'll be fine. We're going to Italy. And it rained solidly for 2 weeks. Rods of rain. So much so that we had to change the schedule and we had to film inside the house, the little castello up on the hill above Portofino, instead of doing what we hoped to do, which was film great shots in the garden.
Oh my God.
And so unfortunately the garden, when you see it, it has quite a lot of false flowers in it.
And I bet nobody noticed, but now I'm going to go back and rewatch it.
Of course you are.
And now I'm going to see,
that
Delphinium
one is
looking a little...
it's listing to the left. Or
not really. I'm not sure about that. How funny. That takes us nicely into food and drink. Food and drink is so important with travel. We all love eating. We all love drinking.
Yes.
Tell me about what you like about food and drink and where you go and what you do and don't like.
There's that whole thing of when in Rome, whether you are in Rome or not in Rome, do as the Romans do. Not always something I feel I can do. Not always something. I'm not that adventurous I don't want to eat nostril in, wherever, up the Limpopo. I'm quite happy to have, a bit of fish or something like that. It's usually an emotional association rather than I've come here and I've had an amazing 5-star meal. Often simpler is better. And one of the better experiences, in a way, I had was in Sri Lanka. And I was staying, one of the hotels I was staying in, which was Jeffrey Bauer's, I think this was, was this before I got to, no, it was the Jeffrey Bauer Kandalama. I think it was this hotel. And, if you're not having breakfast in your room, then it's always a bit of a bit of a risk, you know. There was a kind of a rather lovely buffet style thing, get it yourself. And I have to say, this would be one of my travel secrets actually, is to have, if you've never done it, have curry for breakfast. Only a little and something light, you know, like, so I would start the day with a little bit of fish curry, just a bit. I mean, tiny bowl like that. And it just kind of sets you up for the day. You feel like you're part of what you're meant to be part of. It's not harsh on your system. It just feels right for where you are, for the elements that you're in. And it made me feel amazing. It made me feel just great. So, you know, it's not a 5-star meal, but it's something simple, well done, local, and sort of what you're meant to be eating for the temperatures that you're
going to.
in. Yeah.
It's true, because my sister got married in India and everybody else in our party had the most terrible stomachs because they were eating Western food. And I love curry, so I was in my element and I was having curry at every meal, but not a lot.
No.
But I didn't want a salad.
No.
And the people who were eating that were so violently ill. Silly. By the end of 2 weeks, I was probably thinking maybe I should be a little ill because I've eaten so much curry, but no, it was perfect.
I was violently ill one time, not there, but when I went to Luxor, and this may tie in with your poignant thing of travel, because the idea was, you know, to do temples and etc. and go to Cairo. And
going up the Nile.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so I went out to the bazaar in Luxor and I had a lovely time, and I got measured up for a galabeya, which was going to be ready, you know, in 2 days' time. It just sort of take a wodge of cloth and drop it from your shoulder diagonally down to the floor, and the same on the other side. And it was all rather marvellous. And then I went into a little antique shop and there was a absolutely charming man in there, and he came out with a tray of coffee and a little glass of water, and I said, oh, thank you so much. And I thought, coffee, yes, maybe not the water, maybe not. I had the coffee, and I literally, because I didn't want to be rude, I literally touched the glass to my lips and put it down. I don't feel that I even took in a drop, and the next day I was flat on my back. So the poignant tale is, I never got to Cairo.
Oh, no.
I never got to the pyramids. I didn't see the Sphinx, but then I am one. So that's all right.
You must go back.
I must go back. I must go back, yeah.
You absolutely have to go back.
Yeah.
And it's actually a very, very popular place to be going to at the moment, which is interesting with everything that's going on in the world.
Well, it had a very bad time, didn't it?
It really did.
Relatively speaking, it's
Yeah.
probably okay.
Yeah, it is. You love India, don't you?
I've loved when I've been there, and yes, I would like to go back. And I went in the most lovely way, because I went with Emily, the sculptor, and another sculptor friend, because they were on a stone buying mission. So this was my mission. So this was my first go at India, and we went to Rajasthan, which I know some India files would probably say, "Oh, that's easy. It's so easy," you know. But we had a lovely way in, because we were going to see artisans. We weren't going as tourists. We were looking at stone yards, where literally, to see the quality of the stone, you know, somebody takes a bucket of water and throws it against a slab so you can see what's revealed. And it's just a beautiful way in, you know. And it's not in the centre of town. It's just on the outskirts. And it is overwhelming to the senses. And I just thought, I feel like a child. What must it be like growing up here, you know, surrounded by colour and light? And it always makes me laugh when people talk about the light in LA, and I think, go to India.
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
you know.
And all the colours and everything is so vibrant,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And decoration and beauty.
So you've talked a little bit about a travel secret, which is eat, the local.
Eat local.
But what is your top travel tip other than that? I know that you love traveling within the UK and the coast here, and you love going to see wildlife as well.
Yeah,
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Wildlife, anything to do with wildlife is poignant for me because of where we're at the moment. And it's also a reason why I don't travel as much as where I do travel, because I can't stand the karma, of the long haul this and the short haul this and, oh, well, carpe diem, because, if we're losing all this, you may as well go and see it now, because it won't be. I can't sort of get into that mentality. I think one of the poignant things was actually not in our country, but I did go to the Maldives because I just needed a break, So I went there for a few days, and it's a long way to go for a few days, but it's worth it. And I went out snorkeling, and we went to a coral reef, and I think I saw one turtle, and then everything else was just bleached, and that's terrifying. That is terrifying to me. I'm going to move swiftly on from that. We can come back to whatever you like, but I just want to say, never mind poignant, I think what's tragic is the single supplement. If you want to travel on your own, if you don't always want to go with other people, I'm just so fed up with the fact that you're punished for being on your own.
Yeah, so right.
Financially.
Yeah.
And it matters. It puts you off, and it sort of makes you feel a little bit stigmatized, I think there are some companies now that are trying not to do that, but I just wanted to do a bit of a tub thump there.
But I actually think the worst people for that are cruisers. The single supplement on a cruise ship is really extortionate.
Brutal.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
More than hotels, actually.
Yeah.
And why should it be? Because there are lots of people who probably would like to go on a cruise because they want to mingle and they want to meet people if they're on their own.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good...
Yeah. And there are all sorts of reasons for not travelling with. Yeah. I was going to say, going back to your travel secret. Well, top travel secret if you're in Sri Lanka is don't try ordering food on a full moon.
Oh, really?
They have once a month, they have the Poyo kind of holiday. It's a mini holiday, which is a full moon. I'm going, good luck. Once a month, have a holiday. Great, we should try that here. Anyway, I was in Colombo, and I was, feeling great about being in Sri Lanka, and I'd been around the island, and I came back, and I was in this wonderful old trad hotel, and I ordered a simple trout, and I waited, and I was trying to be polite and get in the spirit, and I waited about 50 minutes, and then I was getting a headache because I was quite hungry and I was quite cross and probably dehydrated. And anyway, so I walked to the kitchen to see if I could find somebody, and I
find a cook.
Eventually, somewhere in the distance, saw a guy, and I went, hello, waiting for my trout. And we were slightly frightened people. Actually, not frightened enough, I have to say. Anyway, I eventually got my trout, and it came, I have to say, it did make me laugh, because they had obviously, by way of apology, decorated the trout. So there was sort of cut out olive where the eye was, and, little sort of decorations all down the fish, and they'd sort of fashioned a smile also on them. And it was sort of like, it's holiday, you know, what are you going to do? Kind of like, you shouldn't have ordered,
That's
kind of feeling,
hilarious.
you know.
That's
Anyway,
so funny.
it was funny.
Was it nice when you got it?
It was fine. It was fine. I
Don't
barely
ever
tasted it.
Don't ever order on a full moon. I
Sri
love
Lanka.
that. That's so funny. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That's a great travel tip as well. I will definitely be letting people know that. That's so funny. Where have you filmed that was unusual and that, you know, you enjoyed? That
I
you
haven't really.
No?
I don't think I've done
No,
sort of
nothing.
extraordinary climbs. I've not been like Chucky Dance, you know, all over shop.
Nairobi. You wanted to talk about the makeup because what we were talking about with Bea about
Finland?
Finland.
Finland.
Yeah, you said you wanted
Okay.
you might mention something there.
Well, I think a starting point for travel could be as wild as a DNA test. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but you can edit it anyway. But I was twice availed for the show Who Do You Think You Are?
Oh, yes.
First ever series. They were on to me and I was very excited.
Very exciting.
And I somehow got ghosted after a while. And then years later, I said, well, you've asked me for this before. Yes, we know, but there's so much more search engines now. We're bound to come across something. And it happened for the second time.
Oh.
I was incandescent. I mean, I didn't shout at anybody because I didn't know who to shout at, actually. And I thought, well, either I've got the most mysterious family in the world or I've got the most boring. I don't know. But now I'm now
Really
feeling
want to know.
like a sense of a lack of identity. This is somebody who's an actress and is always being other people in the day job. And, you know, you ask yourself, well, why? Well, maybe I don't know who I am. Anyway, so a couple of years ago, and I was doing a job in Ireland, and I wrote off and I sent off. And 8 weeks later, the results came back. And there were a couple of bits I knew, and some I really didn't. I paid a bit extra for my, go beyond 5 generations things. It starts to get really interesting. There are some bits that I'm really hanging on to. There's some French and Spanish, which we kind of knew about in the family. Between 11 and 14% Tuscan Italian.
Very nice.
And the needle was swinging between Sweden and Finland for another 10%. And I thought, well, I love Moomin so much. Let's go with Finland, where I've never been. And so I thought, well, I could do a whole round trip. I mean, it gets really wild after 5 generations. I mean, I've got there's 1% Sri Lankan and there's 1%, 2% Punjabi and there's a bit of Far East and all that kind of thing. And I don't know quite how this comes about. Well, I mean, we know how things come about, but
how that has come into
my life. Sadly, I don't know that, but really want to do kind of Nordic cabin, lake, boating, bird watching, that kind of thing. And I have never, ever done that. I'll take Finland.
Well, I'm going to send you to Finland next year because there is a new hotel opening, which is exactly that.
Oh, my God.
Cabins, wildlife.
Oh, so exciting.
And it is going to be, it's being built at the moment, but it is absolutely exactly what you've just described.
Golly gosh. Wow.
So Finland and Istanbul.
Finland and Istanbul.
Here you come.
That's just the start of the list,
That's the
right?
start. Absolutely. That is the start. That takes us on to a photograph. I asked you to bring a photograph of a trip that sums up travel to you and to just show us the photograph and tell us what that photograph means to you.
Well, it's a very emotional photograph because, well, wildlife, not entirely wild. but a once wild elephant. So it's a combination of wildlife and India. I was lucky enough to be included in a campaign called Extinct, where it was a kind of a, in a way, as these things are, gladiatorial campaign, but designed actually to raise awareness about, what's going on in the world and how few you can see of this, that, and the other. And I was allocated the Asian elephant, and for that we went to Assam. It felt like one of the longest journeys of all to get to where we were going, and we stayed at a rather wonderful place called the Wild Mansir. Or it might be the Wild Marcia. I'm sort of back to trout again. I think it means the wild trout in Assam. Beautiful bungalow, so calm, so quiet. And that was our base for travel every day. And so we were out viewing the wild elephant, because Assam has the largest wild population of Asian elephant.
It's absolutely beautiful, that photograph. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, this was an elephant who'd been domesticated, and was part of a village. I mean, this was all responsibly done and everything, and we wanted a shot of him in the water, and they love to be bathed, and I said, I want to do that. Will you let me do that? And they said, yes, you can do that. We need to sort of supervise that. Anyways, they put me in this pair of waders. And I just remember standing in front of this bull elephant, and the sense of awe that I had in front of him. I mean, he was beyond massive.
Yeah, I mean, it's extraordinary.
And just the sense of you could do anything you like. I thought, you are actually a god. That's what I felt like in front of this elephant. And you immediately literally feel like prostrating yourself. So that is in a funny way, is a reflection
fantastic.
of that. But actually what I'm doing is throwing water. I was throwing water at him.
It's just brilliant.
And our one of our producers caught that image. I had no idea she'd taken that
beautiful
image. And it's me literally going, I'm just nothing. I am nothing, And that's kind of how wildlife makes me feel. I've been lucky enough to have a number of, close-ish encounters. And I have to say, if I hadn't said Istanbul, this is very, very difficult, because I want to say that everybody should experience Galapagos, but in a way, none of us should experience Galapagos. It's better to watch our television screens. And, I was persuaded by the Galapagos Society. If you do this in the right way, you're allowed. You're allowed. So I'm tempted to go back, but haven't been back.
Did you love it when you went there?
Well, you're in Eden. You think you're in Eden, except Eden now has plastic in it, as everywhere does in the world. But because of that connection, which is part of, I think, why we travel, you want a connection with something. You want to feel something and be changed. You can feel that with, if you're lucky, with, the humans that you encounter in any given place, but also I think we crave, I certainly do, connection with nature and wildlife. And it just feels so special. You feel sort of blessed, if the wildlife opens itself up to you. And it does in more places than you think, but we're so busy looking down. We don't look up. We don't look round, you know. I think there should be a campaign about looking up, which I've suggested as actually an ambassador for WWF. And I said, I think we have the Look Up campaign, obviously carefully, not when you're crossing the road, but just to get out of our heads, you know.
It's so true. And actually, it's such a wonderful mantra for travel because it really does help us get away from this, to expand our horizons and to see the world.
Open up, you know.
And have that connection with people and places.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful sentiment and a fantastic photograph. Thank you for bringing that in.
You're so welcome.
So before we go away, where would you like to go next? You said the world is your oyster.
Oh my God. Next. Well, I still haven't, can't believe it. I still haven't been to Costa Rica. And I would like to, if and when I go, I want to do the kind of eco thing. I would want to volunteer probably at some rehab centre. No, I'm talking about animals. I'm not talking sorry, not very good with people. And I think, you know, travel by horseback as well. That would be amazing. Whether that's Costa Rica or Mongolia or somewhere like that. I would love to do something I have to prepare for. That's part of it. I mean, the rigor of preparation and the excitement of preparing for something. As I did for the dog sledding trip I did a charity dog sled for Battersea.
Oh, did you?
Oh, God, it was about 12 years, 15 years ago now. So, yeah, that was fantastic. So you're out with your team and doing everything.
Well, those are all wonderful places. So Costa Rica,
definitely.
The best place to go to are camps called Nayara, which we also look after.
Oh, wow.
The most amazing places.
Wow.
Beach and in the mountains.
Okay.
Not the mountains, the forests.
Yeah.
Where did you say after that?
I don't know, but can I mention Papua New Guinea?
Yes, don't know anyone in Papua New Guinea. Costa Rica, I can definitely do.
Okay.
Definitely send you somewhere wonderful.
Else oh, God. Well,
Mongolia.
No. Mongolia, why not?
Riding. So Alexandra Tolstoy is going to be on the podcast, and she does these amazing treks that Dominic West is doing.
Okay.
So when Dominic was on the podcast, he was just about to go on one of these horseback riding treks with her.
Amazing.
So I shall find out from him if he liked it, and if so, send you on that as well.
Cool.
We are going to many places.
Many places.
Many places.
Responsibly,
exactly, to find that connection. Thank you so much. It's been a joy and a delight to go around the world with you.
Thank you.